Welcome back to 2 Cents. My name is John Malassaw, and today we're covering a fan request for a Marvel villain's power scaling. Now, I'm not super adept in this subject, nor do I have an intimate knowledge of these characters' comic origins. So, first, I'm setting some rules. For that, I turn to my lovely assistant Kyla. Take it away.
First, the setting. These battles will take place in the airport setting from Captain America: Civil War. This will provide enough open space to move around and enough cover to hide from projectiles, as well as an indoor and outdoor location. Planes and helicopters will be parked on site. However, any and all forms of transportation will be inactive during the fight. Second, the setup. Each combatant will be given their most iconic arsenals that they can carry into battle or produce via their own powers. For example, Loki will have his Tesseract staff, as he carries the Tesseract for the majority of the film he's in. However, neither he nor Thanos will be leading the Chitauri into battle. Likewise, neither Red Skull nor Winter Soldier will have the support from Hydra, but they will both be outfitted with Hydra tech. Lastly, setting may change if the fighter has the ability to teleport or shift reality, and in Ego's case, the setting will be on the face of his planet body. Third, the backdrop. All characters will be told they're going into a fight, but will not have information on their specific opponent. This rule applies to Captain. For example, Loki's attacks would likely be televised or online, giving characters such as Ultron intimate knowledge of his fighting style. However, in this scenario, he will be meeting his combatant with no prior knowledge. Fourth, the data sources. This fight will only be based on the powers of each combatant that are shown or alluded to in an MCU film. Any powers or comic only will not be considered for this battle. This is a Marvel Cinematic Universe power scaling, not these characters' extended canon materials from other sources. Fifth, the judging. Each combatant will be measured on training, ability, strengths, and weaknesses, both mentally and physically. These combatants will be ranked 20 up to 1, based on their likelihood of being able to kill or incapacitate any and all combatants beneath them. Even in close fights with only a marginal edge, the combatant will be chosen based on probability of victory, not certainty. Sixth, the contestants. 20 contestants will be chosen from various Marvel franchises based on prominence, showing, measurable powers, and screen time. The combatants are as follows. From the Iron Man franchise, Obadiah Stane as Warmonger, Anton Vanko as Whiplash, Aldrich Killian as the Mandarin. From the Captain America franchise, Johann Schmidt as Red Skull, Bucky Barnes as Winter Soldier, Brock Rumlov as Crossbones, Heinrich Zemo as Baron Zemo. From the Thor franchise, Loki as Loki, God of Mischief, Malekith as Malekith the Accursed, Hela as Hela the God of Death, and the Destroyer. From the Hulk franchise, Emil Blonsky as Abomination. From the Black Panther franchise, Eric Stevens as Killmonger. From the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, Ronan as Ronan the Accuser, Ego as Ego the Living Planet, Yondu Udonta as Yondu the Ravager. From the Avengers franchise, Ultron as Stark's Peacekeeper, Thanos as Thanos the Mad Titan. From the Doctor Strange franchise, Caecilius the Servant of Dormammu. From the MCU Spider-Man franchise, Adrian Toomes as Vulture.
So, the combatants are ready. Let's begin with our number 20 spot. Number 20, Baron Zemo. Baron Zemo falls at the bottom of the villains list, though he does show certain skills throughout his time in Captain America: Civil War. Zemo exhibits a mastery of code-breaking, manipulation, espionage, and military tactics. However, in a straight fight, Zemo has no major showings in his time in the MCU. Zemo is a great villain, but he falls at the bottom of the pack due to him being far more brains than anything else. Number 19, Crossbones. Next up on our list, we have another villain from the Captain America franchise, Crossbones. Now, Crossbones has a solid base of military training as a trained agent for both Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D. He even trades blows with Captain America as a regular man. On top of that, Crossbones sports prosthetic battle enhancements that give him superhuman striking power. However, he's pretty easily handled by Captain America and is forced to blow himself up in a ditch effort to kill Rogers. So, a prominent fighter and threat, but not enough to make it to the 18 spot. Number 18, Ironmonger. Coming in at number 18, we have Ironmonger from the Iron Man franchise. Now, Ironmonger is a powerhouse fighter with a massive suit based on the original designs of Tony Stark's Iron Man suit. The suit sports missiles, automatic weapons, bulletproof armor, jets for flight, and superhuman strength. Now, while Ironmonger is far stronger in raw power than many combatants above him, the actual suit is riddled with weak points. First, Ironmonger has a number of critical elements that are exposed, including weak joints, and even his targeting computer, which Iron Man easily disables with his bare hands. Second, the Ironmonger suit handles like a tractor. It's bulky and turns and moves slowly. Even its takeoff time is ridiculously slow. The Ironmonger suit also shows weaknesses to extreme cold and light, so its resistance to element is, well, questionable at best. Anyone with comparable speed that gets in this guy's face would tear him apart with a number of weapons. On top of that, Obadiah is just a guy. While he's probably familiar with weapons, he clearly is just a businessman, and his fighting style displays no finesse or tactics. While Ironmonger is indeed powerful, he's not quick or clever enough to make it any higher on this list. Number 17, Whiplash. Just right above Ironmonger, we have another Iron Man villain, Whiplash. Now, this is Whiplash without his random suit of armor he gets at the end of the movie. This bad guy bears an arc reactor that powers 2 power whips. On top of that, Whiplash is a tech genius, instantly analyzing and taking apart Tony's arc reactor, and is even able to build drone suits of his own, though he can't use the drone suits in this particular fight. But it's still an impressive show of mechanical knowledge. I'd like to make this disclaimer. Whiplash and Ironmonger are very close, but Whiplash is just a terrible matchup for Ironmonger. He is a genius who can analyze tech and copy or destroy it, so Ironmonger's exposed targeting system, well, that's done. Second, Ironmonger is also shown to be sensitive to light and temperature, so yeah, Whiplash has those in spades. On top of that, in any scenario where Whiplash would get the drop on him, which Tony Stark does in the film, he'd just carve him up like a can opener. However, Whiplash's lack of armor and his lack of any practical ranged weapon just doesn't get him any higher than the number 17 spot. Number 16, the Vulture. At 16, we got the Vulture. Now, Vulture is a Swiss Army knife of powers. He uses Chitauri tech to design power wings, molecular phasing, energy blasts, mechanical claws, and body armor. Vulture is seen as an adept pilot and a powerful enemy in the sky. He's able to push Spider-Man to the brink and nearly kills him. However, similar to Ironmonger, his suit is an exploitable weakness. First, his tech has fallen apart multiple times. He's actually killed after his suit is damaged and he can't fly. Late spoilers for the end, I guess. On top of that, beneath the suit, he's tough, however, he's more of a pilot than a warrior. Once he's in close range or his armor is damaged, he's easily taken down. Vulture is a master in the skies, but he's not strong enough on the ground, and his armor has too many weak points to advance him further in this competition. Number 15, Yondu the Ravager. Yondu comes in at 15 with the odd power of whistling to kill people, and sweet mercy does he kill people. Yondu's near magic metal spear thing is capable of carving through alien armor and battleships alike. He's easily sewn through dozens of enemies in seconds. Yondu also possesses a knowledge of alien weapons and is a crafty, sneaky fighter. However, Yondu possesses no discernible defenses. While he's powerful and quick on the draw, he's susceptible to any enemy that's faster than him or isn't killed by his wand spear. Yondu's just too easy to kill to make him any higher on this list. Number 14, Caecilius, the servant of Dormammu. Caecilius is a powerful sorcerer with the ability to teleport, basic knowledge of martial arts, energy manipulation and creation, astral projection, gravity manipulation, and spatial rift creation. So with all of these powers, why isn't Caecilius any higher on this list? Well, the movie version of Caecilius, which is what all these characters are solely based on, not the comics, is kind of an idiot. Most of his greatest feats are attributed to him being on a team. He attacks directly and pontificates constantly. Doctor Strange, with only basic training, doesn't just beat him, he completely immobilizes him with a weapon that he doesn't even know how to use at the start of the fight. On top of that, Caecilius shows no major feats of intelligence, and gives his soul to an interdimensional demon after being caught in a brick wall. If Caecilius fought halfway intelligently, he'd win, but against villains? He'd just get cheap shot while he waits for them to attack or explains his philosophy droning on and on. He may be powerful, but movie MCU Caecilius is just too dumb to make it any further on this list. Number 13, Red Skull. Coming in at lucky number 13, we have the leader of Hydra, the infamous Red Skull. As a disclaimer, again, this is not comic Red Skull. Comic Red Skull would rank much, much higher. With that out of the way, Red Skull possesses powers comparable to Captain America, but also has a devious edge that makes him tricky and difficult to fight. On top of that, he boasts an arsenal of Hydra weapons that instantly and completely eviscerate their targets. This makes him a terrible foe for anyone to take on, as an evil genius version of Captain America with basically magic lasers. However, Red Skull does possess a number of weaknesses. The Super Soldier Serum doesn't just make him invincible, it only elevates him to the peak of human perfection. This means Red Skull is limited in what sort of opponents he can take on in a contest of speed and might. The serum also has the side effect of enhancing his emotional and personal qualities. This means that Red Skull loses his temper and makes poor decisions, like not killing Steve Rogers immediately or when he randomly murders people that make him mad. He's just a bit too weak and a bit too much of a loose cannon to make it any higher than 13. Number 12, Winter Soldier. Just a pinch and a half above Red Skull is the Winter Soldier. Now, Bucky Barnes has a similar power set to Red Skull, and fights on par with Captain America. However, I think outside of the Hydra weapons Red Skull sports, Winter Soldier has the edge over MCU Red Skull in just about every category. Where Red Skull is emotional, Winter Soldier is a machine. He moves in and takes down Nick Fury, Black Widow, and nearly kills Captain America twice. In the strength department, he's got the added bonus of a hydraulic mechanical arm that we've seen as capable of overpowering Captain America. Winter Soldier also sports a practical and useful set of armaments, ranging from assault rifles and grenade launchers to magnetic and pocket-sized explosives. However, while Winter Soldier doesn't have any discernible mental or physical weaknesses, and he's probably the most practical soldier or fighter, he doesn't have the raw power necessary to take down truly strong enemies with substantial durability. Number 11, Killmonger. Slashing his way into number 11 is Killmonger. Now, Killmonger is an elite soldier of the US military, as well as an assassin and a hand-to-hand combat specialist. Without powers, he's able to best powerless T'Challa, kill Claw, and escape the Black Panther. With powers in his suit, he's pretty near unstoppable. Killmonger has a bulletproof suit that absorbs kinetic energy. Yeah, you know, vibranium. He's basically wearing Captain America's shield as a suit from head to toe. And, I'm calling a little bit hacks, but whatever. On top of that, the Black Panther flower gives him super strength, speed, senses, and reaction time. So, what sort of weaknesses does he have? Well, while Killmonger is strong and defensively powerful, his armor can be overpowered by other sources of vibranium, and seems to be susceptible to various forms of energy blasts. Killmonger is also limited by close-range weapons with, primitive claws as his main tool. Killmonger is very strong, but just doesn't have the raw power or ranged weaponry to compete with anybody higher than him on this list. Number 10. The Mandarin. Starting on the top half of the MCU villain's power scale is the Mandarin from Iron Man 3. Killian has a ridiculous range of powers, including super strength and speed, superhuman reaction time and senses, heating his body to hot enough to saw through titanium faster than a lightsaber, fire breath, regeneration that makes Deadpool look slow, and enough durability and healing to survive a point-blank Iron Man suit detonating on him. As much as I hate what they did with Mandarin in this particular movie, I've got to admit, he's tough. And while I think he and Killmonger are close, Killmonger even edging him out in durability and fighting prowess, Mandarin would cook him alive in that suit. I don't care how much concussive force vibranium can take, Killmonger is pushing 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit with his body. He's just got to give anyone a bear hug and melt them to death in like half a second. However, Mandarin is limited by how much he can regenerate, and seems to pause between his superheated attacks. This means he's definitely limited by biological factors, range, and endurance. He just can't last long enough and put on enough pressure to make it any higher in this list. Number 9. Malekith the Accursed. Malekith does not have the easiest powers to identify from his showings in Thor the Dark World. He's definitely capable of superhuman feats of strength and speed, and is able to easily damage and even kill Asgardians with his weaponry. On top of that, Malekith possesses the vague powers of darkness that allow him to teleport and attack at distance with a dark cloud of energy. The dark energy also seems to defend him and can be telekinetically controlled. On top of that, he is ruthless, willing to kill women and children with no regard for life, as his ultimate goal is to wipe out all the life in the universe. Whatever that means, he's pretty vague about it. However, Malekith does not show any feats of strategy or nuance. He just attacks directly, and this allows Thor to thrash him. Malekith is powerful, but doesn't seem strong enough to take too much damage, and isn't smart enough to get any further on this list. Number 8. The Destroyer, as controlled by Loki or Odin specifically. The Destroyer is a Goliath suit of armor, said to be the feared weapon of the Asgardians. The Destroyer sports a massive heat ray in its head capable of eviscerating Asgardians. On top of that, the being casually kills Thor in his mortal form on Earth. Now remember, Thor in this form is still at the peak of human physical strength, if not superhuman. He fights dozens of guards and survives being hit by a car. And this thing casually backhands him to death with a love tap. Even when Thor gets his powers back, his hammer only knocks the thing around, but doesn't seem to visibly damage it. On top of that, the Destroyer shrugs off winds that would be able to pick up cars, and he's even hit by at least a 1,000-pound vehicle and barely flinches. In fact, Thor has to wait for an opening to hit the creation in its face. The only problem is, the Destroyer only opens its face to fire a heat ray that kills Asgardians. We can make the assumption that because Loki showed hesitation too, while fighting, that he was probably holding back the ultimate Asgardian kill machine, because it's his brother. Without Mjolnir, I don't even think Thor could have damaged this thing, and definitely not survived a direct hit from its heat blast. Now, I'm filling in some blanks, but this thing is said to be Asgard's trump card kill weapon, and I'd assume that it would probably kill Thor if he was unarmed. On top of that, it's either wielded by Loki or Odin, so either the genius trickster or a battle-hardened general with thousands of years of fighting experience. Take your pick. I know this thing's pretty high on the list, but any creation comparable to Thor in strength and durability, if not surpassing him, definitely deserves a high spot. Number 7. Loki, the God of Mischief. Coming in above the magical Asgardian kill weapon is the mastermind who wields it, Loki. Now, Loki has a number of magical and natural abilities that make him a tough opponent to get the killing blow on. First, he's an Asgardian trained in combat, possessing superhuman speed, strength, and reaction time. On top of that, his magic allows him to create illusions and clones. Loki can change his appearance, as well as the appearance of entire rooms or small areas, making him difficult to predict. On top of that, he's managed to fake his death a number of times, only to come back for another bout. Now, in this fight, we're also giving Loki his Tesseract staff. This further amplifies his power by giving him the ability to control minds and blast power beams of energy. His mind manipulation is even shown to affect others through the staff when he's not present in the room, which seemingly allows him to form mental connections with others through the weapon. But Loki's greatest attribute is his brilliant mind. Loki's silver tongue has saved him from death and dismemberment more than once. However, Loki isn't perfect. His magic has limits and seems to fall if his main body takes a good hit or he loses focus. Adding to that weakness, he lets his pride get in the way of success a lot of times, going so far as to take on the Hulk in a straight fight. And yeah, he loses pretty handily. Loki is always biting off more than he can chew, and this has gotten him in trouble far too much to get him any higher than number 7. Number 6, Abomination. Emil Blonsky, aka Abomination, roids out and rampages into the number 6 spot. Abomination is a terrifying monster with powers comparable to, if not stronger than, the Hulk's. He sports ridiculous superhuman strength and durability. He grabs RPGs and headbutts him. He tears through armored cars and helicopters with ease. On top of that, Abomination seems to be stronger than Hulk, as well as bigger and heavier. He tosses Hulk around and tanks dozens of hits to the face from the Jolly Green Giant without even batting an eye. On top of that, he's got bone spike armor and enough strength to bore it into Hulk's flesh, while the Hulk is trying desperately to push him off. It's only through asphyxiation that the Hulk is able to finally stop him, not brute force. I think Abomination would easily tear through the Destroyer and Malekith, and, well, Loki, you know, he didn't do so well against the Hulk, and this is just a bigger, stronger version. However, Abomination is too simple and straightforward to beat anyone that requires an ounce of nuance or skill. So, if the fighter has even the slightest power advantage on him in any form, enough brains and speeds to avoid him, he's toast. Abomination is just not complex enough to reach the top 5. Number 5, Hela, the God of Death. So, we kick off our top 5 with Hela, the God of Death. Where do I start with this character? Hela is a banished Asgardian and the lost sibling to Thor, giving her superhuman strength, agility, and reaction time. On top of that, she's trained as a master warrior, putting most of the Asgardians to shame with her sword prowess alone. So yeah, she's pretty deadly without her magic. But boy does she have magic. Hela drags around a giant wolf that gives Hulk a run for his money. And that's just her pet. She also has a nasty habit of summoning thousands of blades that she can telepathically manipulate. Now, no worries, the people she kills don't stay dead long because she raises the dead. So, you know, she can generate her own armies from corpses. That being said, Hela is visibly damaged by Thor and her dog is conquered by Hulk. There's definitely a sense that the Asgardians could defeat her, but they ultimately have to turn to Surtur to finish her off. Hela also likes to step forward and fight her own battles, so she's susceptible to attacks and gets a good clean hit every so often. She finds herself barely below the number 4 spot, only on a technicality. Number 4, Ronan, the Accuser. Okay, hold on. I know, a Guardians of the Galaxy villain above the person that literally took Ragnarok to take down? I think you're losing your edge, John. Well, you know, I don't make these things super often, so bear with me. But, hear me out. Now, I know I'm putting Ronan above Hela and Loki, but this is Ronan with the Infinity Stone weapon. Let me just break down his feats and see what you think about it. First, Ronan is a powerhouse warrior with feats of combat that range from defeating trained warriors to master assassins. He also wields telekinetic powers that allow him to throw people and snap necks by waving his hands. But the main factor that puts Ronan so high is his amazing durability and his ultimate kill move. Let's run through Guardian's final fight with Ronan. First, they blast him with a Hadron Enforcer that is said to blast a target with Hadron particles. Rocket said the blast is powerful enough to destroy lunar bodies, and the Guardians use it to threaten massive ships in space with instantaneous death. So yeah, it knocks Ronan down for like half a second. Then Rocket crashes his ship into Ronan. Then Ronan's entire ship falls hundreds of stories, collapsing in around him in a fall that kills the self-regenerating Groot, and nearly kills the rest of the Guardians, and he walks out casually. Oh yeah, and on top of his defense, he can kill all life on a planet by touching his weapon to the ground. Yeah, I know this character is played for jokes, but Ronan is stupid powerful. In fact, the only way they manage to kill him is by blasting him with his own Infinity Stone. So yeah, in my mind, Ronan is nearly unstoppable. Especially in a one-on-one fight. You know, touching the ground. Which is how the fight would take place. But he's not quite as unstoppable as those further up the list. Number 3. Ultron, Stark's Peacekeeper. So this entry is Ultron as Stark's Peacekeeper. This means all of Ultron. And I mean literally the thousands of self-building and self-replicating bodies that he can switch into like some sort of sorcery knockoff. First, let's start with Ultron's main body. Ultron's final form is a vibranium body that has insane durability. He survives a simultaneous attack from Iron Man, Thor, and Vision. Sweet mercy. On top of that, his body possesses lasers, repulsor blasters, superhuman intelligence and reaction time, super strength and speed, and flight. On top of that, he can access any technology and continuously upgrade. If that weren't enough, Ultron possesses the ability to replicate his will and even his consciousness into thousands of drones, each with the power of superhuman strength, speed, and flight, as well as a cocktail of ranged ammunition. The main issue with fighting Ultron is that it's so hard to put him down. I mean, seriously, the guy can jump to thousands of bodies and even survive his heart being ripped out, being beaten by Hulk, blasted by Iron Man, Thor, and Vision, and then is finally cornered and taken down, only because Vision can lock him in his physical form. Without a Technomancer, he's as free as the internet in the air. He's like killing Voldemort or Orochimaru. He's just, he just doesn't stay down. And without Vision, Ultron would just rebuild and come back stronger. In my mind, his fight would rage for days, if not weeks or months, as the combatant dealt with thousands of robots, only to find that Ultron has escaped, upgraded, and come back with new weapons and abilities. And we've seen what he does with time on his hands. Makes a meteor that wipes out all life on the planet. But Ultron is just not in the same league as our number 2 spot. Number 2, Ego, the Living Planet. Number 2 is Ego, the Living Planet. And yeah, he's a planet. Even Ronan and Ultron don't have the weapons to take this guy on. Again, the only reason the Guardians beat him is that Peter Quill temporarily gains his same powers, and Mantis can put him to sleep. It's actually odd that the Guardians beat both their enemies with their own abilities, but whatever. Their powers are pretty much tailor-made to weaken and defeat him. But, if you can't do that, you just have to destroy all the neurons that run through the core of the planet, or be able to destroy a planet. Meanwhile, he's fighting back like white blood cells in an infection, having omnipresent detection and attack potency with his giant neuron tentacle things. Ego is just too large and omnipresent for any of the people lower on this list to even deal with at all. But he's still not number 1. Number 1, Thanos, the Mad Titan. Did you really expect anyone else at the top of this list? I mean, Thanos defeats all the Avengers in minutes and destroys half of all life in the universe with one snap of his fingers. I mean, his finished Infinity Gauntlet basically has 6 plot-breaking powers, narratively destroying anything that you can do against him. He can pass between life and death, blast limitless energy beams, create illusions, manipulate matter fast enough that it can stop a laser mid-shot, and turn back time. And that's only what he's shown on screen. That's all on top of his initial physical prowess. He's able to outfight both the Hulk and Thor, as well as predict Loki's tricks. He's able to outfool the trickster Guardians of the Galaxy, and beat the Avengers in nearly every capacity and setting possible. No one even comes close to the massive impact the Mad Titan Thanos has on the MCU. And no one could even come close to him in raw power, skill, intelligence, and drive that make him the greatest villain. I mean, sheesh, he's ripping apart moons. Bye-bye, ego. That's just his psychic powers. Well, my name's John Malasa, and that's my 2 cents. Hope I didn't destroy all my fanbase by placing the wrong character in the wrong spot. Again, this is the first video I've made like this, but I didn't want to turn down a fan request if I could get it done. Thanks for the request, and I hope I did okay. So, how would you place these 20 characters? Are there any other characters you would like to have seen? Continue the conversation below, and if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to keep updated with all our videos.